circumstances, and certainly we will be providing a certain, making sure that compliance framework is put in place to prevent that happening again.
Thank Joseph for that. I can understand why people are really very concerned when they see this sort of cruelty. So, you know, I can well and truly understand where you're coming from on it. Some of the things we've seen have been truly, truly horrific. We are working hard on the animal welfare issues, as Joe has described, and the industry is working hard too, because at the end of the day, people who raise animals don't want to see them treated like that. So we are working hard, and industry is doing it too, to address these dreadful issues and concerns. So I'll take someone from this block here. So I'll take the gentleman with the striped sort of purple shirt. Is that?
Hello, my name is Stefan. I just have a question in regards to supporting the law enforcement agencies to act on laws that we have to deal with websites that promote hate, that promote cyberbullying and abuse towards Australian citizens and also towards Australian businesses.
Okay. Well, that might be one for Senator Conroy.
We've seen recently, particularly in New South Wales, a campaign to try and highlight the abuse and cyberbullying that was going on with a number of both high-profile as well as low-profile individuals. And we've been engaged for some considerable months, probably over a year, with trying to establish contact with some of the large American-based companies that run, you know, Facebook and Twitter and those sorts of websites. We've been successful now, following a range of representations, in getting staff now located in Australia, whereas before they had no staff. We've now been able to get a meeting between our policing agencies and some of these companies who were just refusing to even hold a discussion with us. So we've had significant improvements. What usually the police are chasing them for is to find out who is the real person behind the fake name. And in the past, we've had not as much success as we should have had. They've taken a somewhat cavalier attitude to our policing agencies and enforcement agencies seeking this information. But because of a whole range of campaigns, genuine concern in the broader community, they're starting to be more responsive. We've now established those links. It's a little early to say whether we've been completely successful yet, but we've at least got them to recognise the existence of the Australian Federal Police. But we are making progress, and we'll continue to press home. If the police need to contact these agencies to get the identities of cyberbullies or people who are, you know, engaged in frauds or whatever it is, we will keep the pressure on.
Thank you. So I'll take the lady just in the second row. Yes, you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. My name is Ailsa. Barely a day goes by without the media reporting some form of bullying, whether it be in schools, as we've just heard through the internet or Twitter, and even in our parliament. I work at a local school where bullying isn't a major issue because we develop a sense of community where we look after one another. We actively teach and explicitly model our school values, two of which are caring and respect. And I'm wondering if there's any chance that Parliament can adopt some similar values and therefore politicians model the behaviour that they expect of their citizens and be able to legitimately reclaim their title of honourable members and get on with the important business that you really need to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Courtesy of one of your local schools, I'm actually sporting a band. Thank you very much. Sporting a band that is the principals for that place, which is actually an alternate education provider. So I know that in schools here and around the country, teachers and parents and school communities work to reinforce values of respect and courtesy and inclusion and all power to you. We certainly want to see that. And I want to see more of that when people turn on their parliament. Now, I think we've got to be a bit practical about it in this sense. Parliament should be the place that people can have a feisty debate about the important issues for the nation's future. And so if people are having a, red-hot debate about whether or not we should be seizing a clean energy future, whether or not we should be rolling out the national broadband network, whether or not we should be providing the school kids bonus to families, those things should be debated long and hard because people will bring different values and different perspectives to the debate. What I think does turn people off, though, is when there is aggressive negativity in the environment and it's not idea A contends against idea B to see which is the best one for the nation's future. But when we're trapped in an environment where whatever the government says the answer is no, and the shallowest of reasons are used to play that out, and that I think does end up, people look at their TV screens and they wonder what's going on. For me, the reason we're sitting here, the reason I'm standing here, is we're driven by realising a vision for our nation's future, a vision about shared opportunity and prosperity, and making sure that we do more things to support each other in the Australian way. We're very proud of our Labor membership and being the architect of great Labor institutions that have transformed this nation, like Medicare and universal superannuation, and going back further in time, things like the old age pension. We're very driven to bring the next profound set of reforms that in, 10 years' time, just the way we look back in history now and say, did anybody really ever oppose Medicare? Who would have done that? Well, it was one of the most contested debates our nation's ever had. Did anybody really oppose universal superannuation? Well, people were told it was going to destroy the economy. We are very driven to keep putting in place the nation-changing reforms, and our history tells us that nation-changing reforms are bitterly contested at the time, and then over the sweep of history are viewed as inevitable and common sense. And some of the things that we have done, which have been most bitterly contested, in 5 or 10 years' time will be viewed as absolute common sense, and you won't be able to find one person who owns up to having been opposed to them at the time, just like you can't now go out on the street and say who was opposed to Medicare and get anybody to put their hand up and say they were. So I'm all for less negativity and more contending of ideas. You might need to have that discussion with someone other than me as well. Thank you. We'll take the lady down the front. Yes, you. We'll just get a staff member to you.
My name is Jill, and I'd like to know why it is that we permit seafood and vegetables and fruit to be imported into our country when they can be grown and etc. here.
Okay, sure, thank you. I'll ask Craig Emerson, along with Wayne Swan and Joe Ludwig, another great Queenslander, Bill Ludwig too, to answer.
Can't export their agricultural products to Australia, that itself would devastate our farming communities because there would be retaliation. We're very strict on our quarantine services. That's as it should be. We don't want to import diseases, we don't want to import insects or anything else like that, but we do think it's in our long-term interests. Now, in the end, it's up to customers as to whether they buy these products, and some are bought, some are in demand, most particularly in seasons where we don't grow that produce, and I'm talking about tropical produce, that sort of thing. But the fundamental test that we apply is in Minister Ludwig's area, and that is it must pass the strictest of quarantine measures to be able to come into this country.
Thank you very much. Now, time is growing short. I just had to check with Wayne, the